It has officially been 1 whole year of taking my art full time. Today we are talking all of the lessons that I've learned along the way, the most detrimental things that you can do, the most disheartening things I've had to come to realize, biggest lessons that I've learned. If you're considering taking your side hustle, your small business, your art, your talent, your interests full time, or if you're in your 10th year of doing so, I really hope this video is helpful in some way. I hope it brings some comfort. I hope it makes you feel less alone, less crazy. Let's get started. Now, the irony of this video is that I'm sitting here and I'm telling you all of the things that I have learned. And yet the first thing I'm sharing with you, you can do all the research, you can do all your homework, you can look up every possible question you can think of what to expect when becoming a full-time artist. You can also watch this video and you can watch hours and hours of other YouTube videos of other artists telling you what they've learned throughout their years of being a full-time artist. But you will never be fully prepared. Ever. That's just the reality of life. Honestly, that's just life. Before I took my art full time, I watched so many videos. I would do my research. I did my homework. I watched other artists creating their small business and growing their business. And yet I still was not prepared for what I would actually experience. And something else I had to learn, you're probably never ever gonna feel like you know what you're doing. That's kind of how I feel right now when filming this video. Like, I really feel like I don't know what I'm saying. Go ahead, do your homework, do your research, look into things, make sure this is something you really do want to do. There are gonna be a lot of things that you're just gonna have to learn the hard way. You're just gonna have to learn by doing it yourself. You can watch other people do it, you can ask other people who are doing it as many questions as you can think of, but until you are doing it yourself, you're not gonna really be prepared for what's to come. It's totally fine. You're gonna figure it out. You're gonna be figuring it out along the way. I have learned the most and I have figured things out by making mistakes and messing up and having to learn the hard way. For example, I've actually already filmed this video once before, earlier today. And I've also filmed multiple other videos at this point that I can't do anything with. You know why? Because I had the microphone setting all wrong and it sounded so bad. But I had no idea that that was even a thing that I could do with this microphone until I had multiple videos that were totally ruined, and then I had to sit down and actually like test things out, and then I learned a new thing about my microphone that I wouldn't have learned before. Now, do yourself a favor, do yourself a huge favor. Throw all of your expectations out the window, okay? This whole entire year is nothing like I expected, but that's okay because things will turn out the way that they are meant to turn out. The best way to disappoint yourself is to have expectations. Have goals. Goals are important. Make small goals, make large goals. Make short-term goals, make long-term goals. But then, after you make those goals, accept the flow of how things actually go. Have goals, but accept the flow. You know, you're always gonna fall short of your expectations of yourself because you're gonna expect way too much that is like humanly impossible. Just stop. As long as you're trying your best, be proud of yourself for that. All of these like lessons and stuff that I'm sharing with you guys is something that I am still learning, figuring out, working through. But one of the ones that even as I speak it now, it's so easy for me to tell you to do this, but it's really hard for me to actually do it myself. Don't be afraid or worried that you're going to bother or annoy people if you promote yourself. I offer commissions. I also sell art prints, but I have the hardest time actually sharing that on social media because I'm afraid that I'm going to annoy people if I share it too much or promote it too much. If somebody is annoyed by you promoting your business and marketing yourself, telling the world what you have to offer, they're probably not your target audience anyway, so I wouldn't worry about it. If If somebody is going to get annoyed that you're promoting what you do and you're telling people like what you have to offer and like about your business or your services that you're selling or whatever it is, that's not a you problem, okay? They probably weren't going to buy your services or your products anyway. So don't worry about bothering people. Promote, promote, promote. Market yourself. Put yourself out there. Promote yourself. Promote your stuff. Show the world what you're selling, what you have to offer, what you do, and do it proudly. Because the people that are going to support you, they're probably going to be like, yo, you need to market yourself more. So the thing is, I know we all want it to because it would be so nice. It would be so easy if it did. But your business doesn't market itself. You've got to do it. Now, something that I've come to realize is that it's really hard to get ahead when you're the only one working for yourself. I don't think there's ever actually been a moment where I'm not fighting to keep my head above the water. So don't stretch yourself so thin that you can't keep up with anything. So something that I kind of came to realize recently is that I've been stretching myself way too thin, but I think the way that I came to that realization is that it was like, man, I'm doing like bare minimum of everything. Like I'm pretty much just doing enough work to get me by and to show up on all the different platforms. None of them are actually thriving, because I'm stretching myself so thin and dipping into so many different areas that I can't keep up with all of them. And so I'm doing the bare minimum to get me by. Same thing as quantity over quality. Jack of all trades, master of none. If you are trying to do it all, none of them are really gonna take off the way that you want them to, because you're trying to do too much for one single human being. I don't know if any of you guys are like farmers, gardeners, if you grow produce. We have a peach tree. If one of the branches, if there's like a cluster of 5 peaches coming off of one section, if you want to have some nice, big, juicy, sweet peaches, you gotta take some of those off. Because if the nutrients are being spread to 5 different peaches on one little branch, they're all gonna come out kind of like maybe not so sweet, maybe not so juicy, maybe not so good. But if you pluck off a bunch of them and you have just like 1 or 2 left, then the nutrients can be focused into 1 or 2 of the peaches, and then those peaches are going to turn out so sweet and juicy. So treat yourself like a peach, okay? If you feel like you cannot keep your head above water and you feel like you're doing the bare minimum of everything, or you feel like nothing is really thriving the way you expected it to, start to take a look at what all are you putting your time, effort, and energy to, and try to cut that down. Pick and choose your battles. And in this case, the battles are the social media platforms. Pick and choose the ones that you want to focus on the most. And then also pick and choose like what art projects or what art things or just what products do you want to focus on the most. And everything else, you can push it aside, put it on the back burner. You can always revisit it later when you've got the time or you're really feeling inspired to work on that thing again. Push it to the side. You don't have to do it all. Nobody's asking you to do it all. That's just an expectation you're putting on yourself. You see? You see? Now, something that I learned kind of quickly, perfection just doesn't exist. There is no such thing as perfect. If you keep not posting that video because it's not perfect, if you keep not showing off your art because it's not perfect, if your goal is to be perfect, you will never ever achieve it, because there's no such thing as it. So why waste your time trying to achieve something that doesn't even exist? Perfect isn't fun or cool anyway. Like, perfect is boring. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. There's those expectations again. Now, I think the most heartbreaking thing that I had to realize, everything takes time. I think for so long, I really thought that I wanted, and I actually kind of thought that I could be one of those rare cases of overnight success. Honestly, the more that I did the work, the more that I realized, wow, I am so glad that I was not some overnight success and one of those rare stories that I feel like you're always hearing about, but it's not very common. I don't have the experience. I don't have even the equipment. Things taking time and things kind of feeling slow at the first, it's a good thing because it gives you time to be able to hold the weight of the amount of success that you get or carry the weight of this responsibility. Way too often we hear about the overnight success story, but that's just not common and it's not typically the case. We do hear those stories of people saying, it took me 10 years to get to where I am now. It took me 10 years of struggling and nobody believing in me and not being successful and not making one single sale and failure after failure before I got here. And yet I think we kind of just disregard that whole story anyway, and we hear their story and we respect it, but then we're like, yeah, but that won't be me. Like, it won't take me 10 years of failure and struggles to get to where I want to be. It's kind of like we have that like hope of that won't be my story. That's a more common story than the overnight success. I think a lot of people, if they did know like it's gonna take you 10 years of struggling to get to like achieve your dream, a lot of people would say, no, okay, well, in that case, like I'm good, I don't wanna do that. I know definitely when I was starting out with Instagram and stuff, I really tried to curate this perfect life. And I think when I was starting to make YouTube videos, there were a ton of things that I cut out of my videos because it was either something didn't work out, I failed at something, I didn't want to show my vulnerabilities, I didn't want to show emotion, I also didn't want to show myself just being silly. And so there were a lot of things that I cut out of my videos because I wanted to curate this like perfect way of being so silly. When I finally was willing to be silly on camera, I didn't edit or cut, redo all the times that I said something dumb or messed up a word. When I started to just like let myself be me on camera and just be natural and be silly and stupid sometimes, it was way more fun filming videos. I had so much fun filming videos once I just started to be me on camera and show my personality. But also, I cannot tell you how good it felt to finally show a weakness. When I finally started showing those moments when something didn't work out, honestly, it felt really good to be able to show that and to share that. Something really, really important and something to consider getting a little more vulnerable in front of the camera and in front of your audience. Makes you more relatable and people can connect with you more and makes you seem just more real, you know? Which takes me on to my next thing. People invest in you before they invest in your art. People want to know the artist, the creator, the person that made the thing. One of my big suggestions is get yourself out there on your platform, show who you are more, because that's what's gonna get people interested in the art that you make because they're interested in you, which is really nice, honestly. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions that I had when I was considering taking my art full time and I was thinking about my lifestyle that I would have is that I would have time to do everything all the time in the world and that I would have time to read a book. Nope. I really thought that once I was able to spend Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, making videos and art and editing and all of that stuff, I was like, wow, I'm gonna get so much stuff done. Like, I'm going to have a backlog of videos and I'm gonna make so much art. I'm gonna have like 3 new pieces of art every single week. I'm gonna have so much content and I'm gonna be posting twice a day. And then I'll also have time to read a book, have a workout routine, go on walks, hang out with friends and see my family. No. You won't, Leslie. You won't. I really thought that I was gonna have time to do it all. I very quickly realized that is just not the case. That was definitely one of my biggest misconceptions of this whole thing, was that I was somehow going to gain time. Now I'm sure at this point you've probably heard lots of people say you should find your niche. You should have a style that makes you recognizable. One of the most detrimental things that you can do to yourself is putting yourself into a box. Pretty early on, I really put myself into a box of the type of videos that I felt like I could make, content that I could post, the type of art that I could make. I would very quickly hit a wall where I had no inspiration. I had no idea what to create, what kind of videos to make, what kind of content to make. I didn't feel inspired to make any kind of art because I had boxed myself into such a tiny little box. And when it comes to things like finding your style, it's just gonna come naturally anyway. The more that you create, the more that you do, the more that you just take action on your ideas, the more that it's just gonna naturally kind of come about. So not only is trying to stick to a very small style a waste of time, because again, you'll just kind of find it naturally and it doesn't have to be this really small little obscure thing. Also, you're really ruining your creative flow because you're boxing yourself into such a small little area when you can be doing so much more and having way more fun trying all kinds of different things. It really doesn't make sense that I make Sims videos. I'm an art channel. This channel is all about running my art business and creating art and stuff like that. It really doesn't make sense, to have Sims videos as part of my channel. But the thing is, they're some of my favorites to film and edit, and I have so much fun creating them. Who cares if it doesn't necessarily fit the Luru Studios brand or the fact that I'm trying to make this an art channel? I have so much fun doing it, and that's all that matters. You don't have to fit this weird imaginary mold that you have created for yourself, and you follow this rule that you have literally made up in your own head. Nobody has made rules for how your YouTube channel is supposed to go, how your Instagram is supposed to look, how your TikTok is supposed to be, how you're supposed to go about creating things. There's no rules for that. So stop making rules for yourself. Break those rules. And speaking of getting out of that box, you should also be getting out of your comfort zone. It is so important that you make yourself uncomfortable. If you are staying in your comfort zone, beating around the bush or trying to maneuver around things to help you stay in your comfort zone, it's gonna get to a point where even your comfort zone is uncomfortable. Face fears, the uncomfortable situation. Put yourself out there. Let yourself be nervous and do it anyway. Let yourself be scared and do it anyway. Get out of your comfort zone. I'm a very introverted person. It takes a lot of effort and convincing to get me out of this house to go to a social event. I'm also really scared to make art in public, to be drawing in public. But a couple of weeks ago, I decided to face both fears. I actually did an art meetup in town with a bunch of other artists. We went out to this really beautiful historical cemetery and we did sketches of stuff that we saw in the cemetery, and I cannot tell you how much fun I had. And when I got in my car to leave that day, I felt so accomplished and more like myself than I had in months. I just felt so good because I went out and I did something that made me so uncomfortable, and that it would have been so much easier for me to be like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to go. If something scares you, do it anyway. If something makes you uncomfortable, do it anyway. If something makes you nervous, do it anyway. Once you're done, you're going to feel like you can do anything. And something else that I really never wanted to accept was that finding other people that you can connect with is actually really important. Now, again, because I am a very introverted person, I will say that I have heard so many other artists and small business owners and content creators, and even Jacob told me that I really would benefit from finding a group of people that are also artists or trying to create a small business, like a little support group where we can like cheer each other on and inspire each other and comfort each other and, you know, help each other to feel like, you know, you're not alone. And I would always brush it off like, I don't need that. Like, that's not my personality. That's not the type of person that I am. I don't need to socialize or have a support group of other people, because that would actually just make me really uncomfortable, because it's like I don't know these people, and then it's pressure and I'm like scared to meet new people. Even just doing that little meetup and meeting those people that I don't know if I'm ever gonna see them again, but just that moment that I had with them on that day really motivated me and got me excited about what I do. And lastly, the biggest lesson, bless you, the biggest lesson that I have learned through this whole entire year is how important it is to actually believe in yourself. And I know it sounds really cliche and silly, and you've heard that all your life, people always saying like you need to believe in yourself, but it's kind of one of those things that until all of a sudden one day you realize you have not been believing in yourself, it's like, yeah, brush it off. I feel like there were a few years where I was pretty confident and I felt like I could achieve things, and I felt like if I worked for something that I'd be able to get it. One day, I didn't even realize it, but all of a sudden, I just stopped believing in myself. It's kind of something I've realized recently is like, wow, I actually don't think that I believe that I can do this. I don't believe in myself. I don't believe that I am capable and that I'm good enough and that I'm talented enough. I totally look down on myself. Confidence really is the key to success, but you can only lie to yourself for so long. And I think I kind of had to hit rock bottom to suddenly realize like, oh yeah, I don't believe in myself. It's something that I'm working on for sure. If you don't believe in yourself, we can work on that together. We got this together. We are gonna build our confidence back up together. Because really and truly, it sounds so silly, but it is very important that you believe in yourself in this whole process. So, and like I always say, I believe in you, so you should too. And those are all the things that I learned in my first year of being a full-time artist. If you're considering taking your art, your creativity, side business, your talents full-time, I hope something that I said helped. Or if you have a business and you've been working on it for like years now, what are some lessons, tips, or tricks that you've learned along the way that you would like to share? And don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Love ya! 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 Hope this helped.
Yeah, I just wanna be forever young. Just wanna be forever young. I'm off the ground, no one can stop me now. Yeah, I just wanna be forever young. The other night, I remember what it felt like to be on top of